Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming and expressing interest to myself and Angus and Wolo, the charity. We only live once for a crazy epic challenge, 4x4 across Namibia and Botswana in 2025. We're all here to obviously listen to see what it's all about, really. So I'm no expert. However, we have Angus on the call, who is a very dear, good friend of mine, a lot of you have met and aware of, and I'm sure he introduced himself. But Angus, this is your world, isn't it, Angus? And you've helped us come up with this crazy adventure challenge, something a bit different, something a bit unique, and something that, well, what I'm led to believe, and I'm sure it is from what I can hear, is life enhancing. And one of which is obviously bucket list for a lot of people, including myself, and I imagine many of us. But to put us away in nature, away from our everyday lives, and experience the world in a slightly different frequency, and enjoy each other's company on an adventure that hopefully, Angus, if you want to tell us about, man, like, please share what we've got to expect and what we might see.
Yeah, sure. How long have we got? Just
As long as you want, man. 3 hours?
2 hours. I'll try and cover what I've got to cover in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then everybody's got time to do what they need to do. Hello, everybody. I think I know almost everyone, but my name's Angus. I run a small adventure company called Africa Wild Trails, and it's my pleasure to help Wolo with some of the events that they would like to do as fundraisers and adventures and things that are good for our physical well-being and our mental well-being. And the 100-mile event, what was that? What is that?
The lion.
It's a lion.
That's Frank.
The lion. That's like the biggest cat I've ever seen.
Computer screen.
Yeah, you keep your cat's backside off the screen, please, Chris. I'm trying to focus. Is that a cat or a dog?
That's a cat, another dog. No, he wouldn't be on it.
Yeah, so I helped plan and deliver the Wolo 100, which some of you have done, which is a very much an endurance-based physical challenge. Over 100 miles. This is very different. This is an event through Namibia and Botswana that is, I think it's escapism and it's adventure and it's good for our souls and it's great for Wolo because we're going to raise money for them, and it's an opportunity for us to get away from the hustle and bustle and hectic stuff of life, and escape with some like-minded people to the Namib Desert and the Okavango Delta and the Kalahari and all those wonderful, wonderful places for a couple of weeks. Belinda's had enough. Anyone else want to go?
Sorry, had to let the dog in. Sorry.
And so what I thought I'd do is just share the screen and just kind of talk through the basics of the venture. I'm sure you've all had the information, but haven't really heard from me. So I want to talk through it and then answer any questions anybody's got, because you know, there will be lots of questions, I'm sure. So Justin, how do I share the screen?
Let my dog out. Sorry.
Hang on.
I've just
Everyone's letting the dogs
this.
out.
Yeah.
Or this cat.
Yeah.
Have I just shared the screen?
You have indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought this would be a good place to start.
So one thing that I think is really nice to let everyone know, Angus, is you're based in Sussex, aren't you? We're all local. You obviously run your company abroad and things, but if anyone's got any like questions or you know, Angus is here. He's willing to talk. You can ring him anytime or talk to or anything that is on your mind or whatever. So Angus is very forthcoming and really kind in that way, and very, you know, face to face human, you know, which is lovely. You know, and you know, over the years I've put absolute faith in everything Angus has ever done. And if you do a little bit of research and things, you'll see that Angus is involved in numerous things for conservation and young children and young adults, and it's really quite inspiring guy, really. So. If you have any questions about that stuff, and you know, Angus is someone who you could really try and pick his brains. It's very interesting.
Shucks. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, so
No,
big
thank you,
him
mate.
up.
That's
Yeah.
very kind of you. Thanks, Justin. So I thought I might as well start here. Here we are in Southern Africa, South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique. So I spend most of my time when I'm traveling in Southern Africa in these countries, and this is our route. So you can see we're covering quite a chunk, actually, of that that side of Southern Africa. I'll just ring these for you, actually, Justin, quickly. That was the area in Botswana I was talking about, the lion research area.
Oh, yeah.
And just quick aside, this is the dugong and turtle research area.
I see. We were talking about that, guys.
Yeah, just FYI. So here we are in Namibia, Botswana. If we move a little bit more, the Namib Desert comes up and down the coast here, and the Kalahari encompasses a huge area, Central Kalahari and the wider Kalahari. In fact, the Kalahari goes as far as Windhoek, where we'll be landing. So I would imagine the flights that you're going to get will take you to Johannesburg and then to Windhoek. Windhoek is your destination. We all need to be in Windhoek by no later than midday on day one, so that we can transfer everybody to the lodge and get everybody settled and briefed and have our dinner and get a good sleep before we depart the next day. So here we are, Windhoek. Windhoek is, I think it's around 1,800, something like that, meters above sea level. And actually, it's a pretty flat route. There is some undulating areas, and Swakopmund down by the coast obviously is our well, not obviously, but it is our lowest point. So this route is about 3,000 kilometers, depending on our final route, because each night's location is set. How we get there isn't. We might decide to do something slightly more adventurous on some days once we've got our confidence, but 80% of it is off-road on dirt roads. The dirt roads kick up quite a lot of dust, so we will naturally be spread out. Each vehicle will be spread out over a few hundred meters, so that we're not driving each other's dust. And each vehicle will have a radio so that we can communicate with each other. So if car 3 gets a puncture, and car 1 won't know that, so we need to be able to communicate, so we'll have good radios. It's also quite good fun, bit of banter on the radio, and that's quite nice. So 5 vehicles, if we had 5 vehicles, which it looks like we might have, we could quite easily be spread out over a mile. And the last vehicle will just see the dust rising from the first vehicle in the distance, which is quite normal. But we need to, you know, safety is absolutely paramount. There's no point in, you know, being in the dust so that you can be close to the car in front. I'll make sure everybody is really well briefed. If you don't want to be the lead vehicle, you don't have to be the lead vehicle. But it's quite nice. It's quite nice to be out in front. It's quite nice to be at the back. But whatever happens, we'll have two-way radio, so we'll all be in contact with each other. So a normal day would be a relatively early breakfast. Each vehicle is self-contained, so you have everything that you need to to make your breakfast, and we'll probably depart around 8 o'clock every day, depending on the miles that we've got to cover, and the hours will range. The hours in terms of distance that we cover will range from 4 hours will be our shortest day, up to 8-9 hours will be our longest day. So each day will look like that. We'll get up just after dawn, make our breakfast. Each vehicle will make their own breakfast, pack up camp, which is relatively easy, quite a quick process. Rooftop tents go up. If anyone's in a ground tent, those go in the vehicle, and we make our way to our predestined lunch spot. We all make our own lunch, have a nice lunch break for an hour in a lovely spot somewhere, and then we'll do the second half of that day, however long that is, to our destination. Every day, the plan is we achieve our destination by 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. It's going to get dark around 6 o'clock, so you need 2 or 3 hours just to leave ourselves a little bit of wriggle room in case there is a puncture, or something like that, or something we want to stop and have a look at, particular view we don't want to just drive past, we all want to stop. So it's not rushed, and that's kind of how each day goes. And in the evening, we put our tables together and we all have dinner together. Each vehicle will cook for their passengers, and we'll have a nice evening and move off, generally 2 nights later. So each location we have 2 nights. So here we are in Windhoek. That's night 1 and night 12. So you're flying to Windhoek. We'll go to the lodge. The vehicles will be waiting. I'll be waiting. I will have packed every vehicle with all of your supplies. So I do need when you put on your medical, on your health questionnaire, please make sure that you add any allergies and food preferences and things like that. So night 1 out of the airport. Night 2 and 3 in Sesriem. This is just the most stunning place. This is right on the Namib desert. Our camp is in Sesriem, and we've got 2 nights there, which gives us 1 full day. So we're going to get into the dunes, right into the dunes, into some of the biggest dunes in the world. And there's a road that comes down here. We can get out and walk, and it's just stunning stuff. For those who would like to do the hot air balloon ride, it's the hot air balloon ride's about 20 kilometers south of Sesriem here. I would suggest we all go, whether we all do it. It is very expensive. It's £350-ish, I think a little bit less per person. So it's a hell of an expensive thing to do on top of the cost of the event and the flight and everything. But it's a once in a lifetime. I've done it, did it last year, and if you can find the extra few quid for it, it's just absolutely stunning. It's one of those things in life that I just think we really should do. It's one of the most.
When would we need to decide if we wanted to do that or not?
Yeah, you'll need to decide. Good question. What within 6 months of departure? Sooner the better.
Yeah.
But I would say that would be the last. I'll speak to Namib Sky, who operates it, and I can. There's no cancellation fee, so I can book for everybody, and then we can drop out if needs be. I'll probably do that actually.
Yeah.
There's a champagne breakfast with that as well. So you come down, you have a lovely, right on the edge of the desert, a beautiful champagne breakfast. So you really do get your money's worth. And I remember the pilot of the balloon that I was in. I said to him, so, it looks like we're going really fast. He said, yeah, we are going fast. I said, but I can't feel any wind. He said, no, you could be doing 500 miles an hour and you wouldn't feel any wind because you are the wind. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's such a great thing to say. You really are. No matter how fast you're going, no matter how fast the wind is going, you're traveling that speed, so you don't feel any wind. So it's always consistently calm, and the views are just quite incredible. So I highly recommend it. So we have 2 nights in Sesriem. There's a beautiful canyon to explore there. There's the dunes to explore there. There's some stunning walks and drives. We don't all have to stick together. There's of course the hot air balloon ride, and then we move on from there through Swakopmund. Possibly we don't have to, but we can refuel there, or we can refuel in this small town here. But our destination is Spitzkop. There's some stunning rock formations, and I'll come on to that when I go through the document in a minute. Stunning rock formations there. We've got a full day there, 2 nights, wild camping. So when I say wild camping, each of these campsites has hot water showers and fresh water to drink. Everything else we'll take with us. So you can expect that level of comfort. Obviously, we take our own beds and our own cooking equipment and all that kind of thing in the vehicle. We'll have gas cookers. I'll make sure there's charcoal in each vehicle so we can barbecue if we want to, and the ability to cook veg and meat and everything else that we need for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So each campsite that we go to, there'll be showers, hot water showers, and fresh water to resupply our water. Some will be busier than others. I really can't tell. I just don't know. Etosha National Park is a very popular place, so that's probably going to be our busiest location. So Spitzkop, here at Spitzkop, there are some amazing Bushman cave art sites. We've got a whole day to explore, so I want to get to those Bushman cave art sites because some of them are thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. Some amazing rock formations there just to sit and relax and reflect and meditate and just be in Africa. It's quite an extraordinary location. Between our departure point through Sesriem and to Spitzkop, there is wildlife. So you're going to see oryx or gemsbok, that iconic animal I'll show you in a second on the document. There's giraffe around, there's other animals around, but the campsites are quite safe. We don't need to worry about that. From those 2 nights at Spitzkop, we travel up to Etosha National Park, which is a big 5 national park. So there are rhino there. I know a couple of people have asked, will we see rhino? At Etosha National Park, there are black rhino and white rhino, quite a lot of elephants, and all of the other animals you associate with an amazing game reserve. So there's lion, buffalo, rhino, elephant, leopard, and a lot of zebra, wildebeest, all of those iconic species. And they do some incredible work in terms of wildlife conservation. It's a hell of a nice place just to stop. And we're there for 2 nights as well. So we get the afternoon, we get there, a whole full day, and then we move off in the morning. This pan here has no water in it. There's no water there at all, but there are water holes that we can go to. And used to have water in it, doesn't anymore. But there are water holes that we go to where there's often a concentration of animals. So quite often we'll just sit in our vehicles and just doze off, with the sun on us, and just, have a cup of tea and see what animals come down to the water hole. Quite often herds of elephants come down there, giraffe, herds of wildebeest and zebra. If we're lucky, like I was last time I was there last year, we saw quite a lot of lions. So Etosha National Park, I think it'd be a shame not to include Etosha National Park if we're going to that area. Then we head east to Botswana. This area, I think, hopefully you can see it here. This is the Okavango Delta. This is the what they call the Panhandle. and the Okavango River comes out into the Okavango Delta. We're going to have one night prior to crossing the border at Sumkwe. It's a lodge I found many years ago. It's a small place. You won't get a response from them if you find them on the internet and try and contact them. The communication's out there. I mean, you're really in the middle of nowhere. In this area alone, there's around 7,000 elephants just in this one area alone. It's incredible. Needless to say, last time I went through, I didn't see a single elephant. So you just don't know. you don't know, but there's a huge number of elephants in this area. And this is just one long, straight, dusty, white road. A lot of these roads, you really get the feeling you're absolutely in the middle of nowhere, and you really are in the middle of nowhere. But this will be our destination. And it's a lovely destination. It's an opportunity for those of you who have got sore bums and want to upgrade, to a mattress in a room for the night. That's one of the places you can do that. Think, oh, I just want to get out of the rooftop tent or the ground tent. For the sake of 30 quid, I think it is, you can get into a nice room if you want to. We'll all be together. And so there's an option there to upgrade. So we then cross the border into Botswana. As I say, this is the Okavango Delta, and we head to Maun. And from there, we're going to get into the Delta on boats for the day, which is quite a privilege to see elephants and hippos, crocodiles and all those animals from a boat, and it is just one of the most. I feel like a child in a sweet shop when I get to the Okavango Delta. It really is quite beautiful. Timing wise, hopefully we have time well as best that I possibly can. We've timed it so the delta water is high. But there's no guarantee. Climate changing all over the world, and the water in the delta, if I zoom out a bit, is dependent on the rainfall in the Angolan mountains. Mm-hmm. So the rain falls in Angola in this mountain range, and then flows northeast, north, south, northwest. Southwest, south, and southeast. And the water that comes south and east comes into the Okavango River, into the Okavango Delta, that iconic place. And we're going to be positioned here to access the delta water from this area. You can always find water in the delta, but what we don't ideally want to do is have a sort of 3 or 4 hour drive to get to the water in the pan here. We want to access water here. So our timing is as good as it possibly can be. At that time of year, the delta water should be high, and we should be able to access the delta by boat quite close to here. When I say access by boat, I'm not talking about those dugout canoes. Mokoros, they call them, which are lovely, very romantic, but you get absolutely nowhere really slowly. So if we did see a herd of elephants in 500 yards away, it'd probably take us all day to get there. So we're in nice boats. You can get up on the top, or you can sit in the middle. Plenty enough space for all of us, and we can move around a little bit more quickly. So we've got a full day there and 2 nights at Crocodile Camp. And then we move, our shortest journey is just 3 hours to Ganzi. And it's a convenient stop on our way back. All over this central Kalahari region, there's a lot of Khoisan Bushmen who still exist. And some of them have chosen to show people who care to visit how they live in these places. And it's an extraordinary experience to walk with the Bushmen in the Kalahari. really is quite incredible. And so we are all going to have the opportunity to do that. We won't walk far. So for those of you who are thinking, I don't want to walk far, you're never going to walk far on any part of this trip. That's not what it's about. It's about stopping, immersing yourself in a place that you've never been before. And that's nature and wildlife and wilderness and cultures. And the Khoisan are an exceptional people, and that'll be an amazing afternoon and evening for us. And our final day driving is one of our longest days back to Windhoek for night 12. And then the next day we go home. So if I can just quickly go to the other screen. So this one. Can you see this one? The change of screen? Okay.
No,
So just
it's the same screen, Angus, the map. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
No, I've got it.
okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to put you there a little bit more. I wanted, we can talk through this document all we like, but this is getting a bit more specific now, where you might start to think of questions you want to ask about insurance and driving and who drives and who doesn't and things like that, and safety and risk management. So please do ask me those questions. If you've got one, please ask as we go along. When Justin and Fleur said, what do you think we could do for a 5-year celebration of Wolo? I thought there would be nothing better really than to provide an opportunity where people connected with Wolo people themselves, and those of us who care to join Wolo, want to support Wolo, can just stop. And if doing 3,000 kilometers is stopping, but you know what I mean, have this adventure with each other, have those amazing conversations in the vehicle, those amazing conversations around the campfire at night, time to ourselves, away from everything that is hectic, often hectic. And so we came up with these 3 benefits of adventure: disconnection from routine, the therapy that nature gives us, that I thrive on. I just can't survive without what nature gives me. I'm fortunate enough to have had the last 2 months in Africa, and I don't think I've ever felt more clarity. I don't think I've ever felt more present than I have over the last couple of months. It's incredible what nature gives us, and so many people don't access it enough. Adventure and exploration, cultural immersion, and just time for mindfulness and peacefulness and reflection, and just to stop and think about how we got to where we are, and where we're going, and just give us that time and quiet conversation with trusted people that are on the same journey. So I think those 5 things, representing the 5 years of, not representing, but connected with the 5 years that Wolo has existed, and everything that the Wolo Foundation has done, is I think it's a powerful way to journey around these faraway places. So that's the route I've just described. You've got this document. This is the Namib Desert.
This document, it's a link off our website. I don't believe some of you have actually received it. However,
Okay.
I can put it in the chat. So
Okay, cool.
Do you mind doing that, Angus, in a minute when we're...
I'll try.
Okay. If not,
I'm not very good at that stuff.
I'll try and do it now while you talk.
So the itinerary that I described to you just now is here in black and white. The distance we're going to cover each day. So day 2, after you'll get it when you get into Windhoek, or you fly in, get off the plane, there'll be a minibus, and myself and Justin waiting for you. We'll bring you to camp or to the lodge. And then the next day, the first day, is a good practice day for us to practice driving in convoy, for us to practice driving off-road, just to gain a bit of confidence, a relatively short route that we can take as long as we want to cover. It's 4 hours, around 350 kilometers. And then we're there for 2 nights. Then we go to, and that's the hot air ballooning. That, I mean, you know, it's worth 350 quid, really. It's just the most incredibly, just most beautiful place on earth. So we then, from that area, we go to Spitzkop. This is Spitzkop here, this image, and it's just dotted with all these wonderful places where you can just find to sit and be peaceful with a friend and have a quiet conversation, or someone you've just met, or just to be by yourself. And you know, and the Bushmen, the Khoisan, you know, inhabited this area for a long time. So there's rock art around there. Then we head off, as I said, to the Etosha National Park. This is a typical water hole. These elephants are just on our side of a water hole there. Quite typically pale, the elephants there, because of the I think it's the clay soil there that they cover themselves in. So the images you see of elephants when they're white like that are the Etosha elephants. Then from there we head to Sumkwe, that lovely little place I described on the border, and off to the Okavango Delta. This is the Okavango Delta. When the water is low, the water will be higher than that. So there'll be islands dotted around. Over millions of years, the islands were created by termites, amazingly enough. Can you believe it? Now there's islands all over the place. The Okavango Delta sits on tectonic plates that obviously move all the time. So the channels of water move all the time as well. So you can never accurately predict exactly where they're going to flow. But if we can get there when the water's high, it doesn't matter where they flow. And if anyone wants to join me in 2025, I'm kayaking across the Okavango Delta with a group of people, 300 kilometers from the Panhandle northeast. It's going to be amazing. My wife isn't particularly impressed, but that's kind of part of the course. So there we are. And then Ganzi Camp, we come back through that area from the Okavango Delta where the Bushmen are, back to Windhoek. This is day 2. We'll be at Sossusvlei. There's actually a tar road that runs. You can't see it. It's well disguised here. There's a tar road that runs right next to these huge dunes. And if we stop, we can walk up these dunes if we want to. This is a typical vehicle. It's a Land Cruiser, and will be 3 or 4 up, depending on your team and what you're prepared to pay or not. In the back of this vehicle is all of the kit that we need, all the cooking equipment, tables, chairs, and things like that. So you need to be conservative when you're packing your kit. My suggestion to you would be, don't bring suitcases, bring soft holdalls so you can push them in little spaces, because there's going to be 4 of you or 3 of you in each vehicle. So in the back here is where your kit bag is going to go. So if you've got a big chunky solid suitcase, that's not very malleable. So please make sure that you have a holdall, you know what I mean, sports bag, soft grip type thing, so that it can be squeezed in if needs be. And just be conservative with your kit. Some of your kit you'll want to have in the front of the vehicle, like binoculars, water bottle, and things like that. The rest of your kit can go in the back. There will be space enough, but in the back there's 2 spare tires. There's a table, 4 chairs, a gas cooker, charcoal, food, pots, pans, everything that you need, water containers, fridge, all of the things that we need to survive. So if needs be, we can when these are folded, when these rooftop tents are folded down, we can strap stuff onto the roof without a problem. But ideally not. Ideally, we'd have everything inside the vehicles. We are crossing borders, so we need cross-border permits for those that have done that before. You'll be aware of that kind of thing. I'll take care of all of that. So everyone will have cross-border permits. There'll be one designated driver per vehicle, but the other passengers can also drive. Okay, so there'll be one specific designated driver and 3 sub-drivers. I've spoken to the company I'm going to hire from today, just to confirm that everybody can drive, and everybody can drive if you want to. And I would suggest in each vehicle you have at least 2 drivers. There's some people might not want to drive, some people might not be able to drive, which is absolutely fine. But in each vehicle you must have at least 2 drivers. Some of the days are quite long, 6, 7, 8 hours is a long time. And we want to make sure everybody's sharp. There's no shame in after an hour saying, actually, you know, I'm really not feeling it. Can I swap with someone? And that's absolutely fine. So all
is a UK driving license that's enough?
Really, really good question. A UK driving license is enough as long as you have your international driving license, which you can get from the post office, I think, for a £5.
Okay.
So you need really good question, and I might not have covered that. I'm sure you've all had an international driving license before. It's actually a bit Mickey Mouse. They just stick your photo on there, and it says you can drive for a year outside of the UK. That isn't checked. Hasn't been checked on anything I've done in Namibia or Botswana before, but it is a requirement. So really good question, Belinda. So you will need to, you're welcome, Belinda. If there's any other good questions, then please do feel free to ask them.
Does the same apply to EU licenses?
Say again?
I have an EU license. Does that need an international one as well?
I'll check. Where
Okay.
are you? Is that from Ireland?
Mm.
Okay, I'll check for you. I don't know the answer to that question. Visas, if you have a British passport, you don't need a visa. And inoculations are not checked. So and COVID, I have got COVID on this document, but it's when I wrote this document, COVID inoculation was required. It's not checked or required anymore. But you must visit your GP, tell them where you're going. I can provide you a letter if you like to explain exactly the locations you're going to. If the GP recommends inoculations, it's likely to be hepatitis A, B, and typhoid and tetanus. We're not in a malaria area, although we're getting close to a malaria area. And NAFNAC recommends prophylaxis, or whatever they call it, non-drug related insect repellent. So long trousers, insect repellent, rather than drugs. Long trousers, long shirts. We'll be sitting around a fire most nights. I haven't been bitten by a mosquito in that area, and I get bitten when there are mosquitoes around. So please, everyone that is keen to go, I'll give you a letter that you can take to your GP, and your GP will tell you exactly what you need, and then it's your choice. Some people don't like having inoculations, and if they have to, that will be the reason why they don't travel to a particular location. Both Namibia and Botswana require you to be inoculated if you're traveling to those countries via another country in Africa that's a yellow fever risk. So if you're flying UK Joburg, Windhoek, that's not a risk. If you're spending time in another African country prior to going to Namibia, then you need to check if it's a yellow fever risk country. If it is, you need to have an inoculation and you need to keep that paperwork with you. So this is just a list of all of the kind of kit that there is in each vehicle, which you'll have tomorrow if we've got all your email addresses.
Actually, so on that, guys, I've just shared Angus's email and my own email, but also this document, the PDF. So obviously look back over it, but just please reach out if you've got any questions.
Each day when we talk prior to each evening when we have a briefing prior to the next day, we will talk about this kind of scenario. There's every chance that this is going to happen. At some point on our journey, there will be animals in the road, and there's ethical reasons why we do what we do, or we don't do certain things, and there's risk management reasons, and there's environmental impact reasons why we have to be careful. So I think that we won't talk about that now, but you know, if we end up as 3, 4, or 5 vehicles, it can be quite frightening for an animal if we get too close. So obviously we keep our distance, and we enjoy that animal. We've got plenty of time. If that elephant decides to walk in front of us for an hour, we'll have time to enjoy that animal for an hour. We don't have to rush anywhere. If that happens, for me, that's absolute gold dust and exactly what we want. So it's not something to be fearful of, it's something to look forward to. We'll all be very sensible, and we've all traveled before. So, but I'll, during the evening briefing, after dinner around the fire, we'll talk about time, distance, location, where we're going to stop for lunch, what animals we might encounter, and what we'll do if we do encounter those animals. So this is these images, fairly typical setup. We'll arrive in a location like this. We'll all arrive, park up all together, and set up our stuff for the night, which will become second nature. We'll practice this before we set off on day one, putting up a tent. The first time you do it's a little bit fiddly. Every time after that, it's really, really easy, and they're quite comfortable. They're even more comfortable if you bring a little blow-up mattress, I would say. I know Kate and Lally will bring their own pillows and stuff like that. You know, they've probably already sent them in country, ready to be washed and laundered, and you got it there. You know, and I think it's a really good idea. You know, whatever makes you feel, you know, comfortable and at home, and you know, so you do have a mattress in those tents, but they're pretty thin. So if you want to bring a blow-up mattress, do, and we can just charge it from the vehicle as normal. If there's 4 people in a vehicle, so Lynn, Chris, and your 2 grown-up boys and girls are going to be in this one, which is fine. But if there's if in a vehicle is me, Justin, Belinda, and Zingy, for instance, none of us are close enough to share a tent. Yeah, we might be by halfway through, but we're not at the moment. So like Belinda might be in that tent, Justin might be in that tent, and I will need to bring a ground tent, and Zingy would need to bring a ground tent. Okay, so we will work that out prior. If Zingy says, you know, there's absolutely no way I'm going to sleep in a ground tent, I want to be in a rooftop tent, I would quite happily say, okay, fine, I'll sleep on the ground. It's not a problem. So we just need to work that out, and that tent, if there is a ground tent, won't be provided. So you need to bring that yourself. And rather than buy one, I can lend you one. I've got a 40 or 50 tents, 2-man and 3-man tents. The two-person tents are plenty big enough, so I can just, if anyone needs one, let me know, and I can bring that. Sleeping bags, etc., of course, will be on the kit list.
Angus,
Yeah,
where do you go to the toilet?
you can't during the whole trip. You're just gonna have to hang on to it.
I mean,
Couldn't
are
say
we
that.
are we
So
what,
there's-
literally safariing and pooing, or do we have to kind of, you know, do it in something that is then treated? How
Yeah,
does it work?
so each location there's a shower and toilet and fresh water at each location. So the beginning and the end of the day. During the middle of the day,
It's wild, isn't it?
Every tree's a lavatory, Sarah. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We did 100 miles together.
Yeah.
So yeah, for those of you who that's actually a really good question, and it also speaks to hygiene and that side of things as well. Yeah, we're going to be in the middle of nowhere during most days. However, we will be going through little villages and towns on some occasions. So you know, having a wee is easy enough for boys and girls.
That's what you say.
And number 2 is slightly more tricky, but not impossible.
Okay.
And if you're worried about, you know, I'd be more than happy to, you know, just walk off the road that we're on into the bush a bit and find a nice place, and you can just do your number 2s.
The other question I have is, we're obviously spanning quite a large area here. So what will be the average temperature during the day and in the evening? And will there be some parts of the trip that will be hotter or colder than others?
Yeah, you know, Sarah, it's tricky to say, but I think we should prepare ourselves for averaging 30 to 35 degrees during the day, and dropping considerably at night,
yeah.
To might even get down to 10, 15 degrees at night, possibly even lower. So we need to be, you know, there's aircon in the vehicles. Each vehicle has air conditioning, and so you need to have good kit to stay cool during the day and enough to stay nice and warm at night. And particularly, you know, the first few nights, if it's not that cold, when you acclimatize, you soon feel it after a while. So yeah, on the kit list, which we're coming to, it's important to be able to keep nice and toasty and warm at night time, and keep cool during the day. So I would suggest a fleece, a woolly hat, and the ability just to layer on and layer off as you feel hot and cold. You know, it's amazing how much difference 3 t-shirts and a hoodie will make with a woolly hat. You know, you're just keeping that layers of heat in at night time. So this is the Namibia and Botswana malaria maps, and we're kind of skirting around what's considered
Oh, okay. Let me do it. Hang on.
a high risk area from sort of here as we cross the border. So if you're going to take malaria
Hang on.
tablets,
Hang on. Let me
you're going to need to start.
Sorry, Angus. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maureen's, she's fallen out. Wait, can you let her back in? She's your host now.
Am I?
Do that, yeah.
How do I do that?
Participants, and then let her back in.
Okay, I've done that.
Cool. I think you're back in.
So we do cross this malaria area risk, which honestly is not a risk at the time of year we're going to be there, which is kind of midwinter, but nevertheless, it is a risk. So I would suggest if you take, personally, I take doxycycline as a malaria prophylaxis, and it's also a good antibiotic. But doxycycline is what I've been in tons of malaria areas over the years, and doxycycline is the best. Has very little side effects. You're slightly more susceptible to sunburn, and there's a bit of a thrush risk. Other than that, there's no real side effects, and neither of those I've really come across with boys and girls over the years. So this is your malaria area risk. Everywhere else is low to no risk. So we're going to be in Etosha National Park, crossing here to the Okavango Delta, and then coming south this way back to Windhoek. So these are the days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those 5 days you're going to need to take advice on malaria tablets. But speak to your GP. I can't actually advise you on that. I can only show you the maps. We're going at a very, very low risk time of year, but nevertheless, there is a risk, and you don't want to get malaria, so it's not worth taking that risk. The rest of it, as I said, long trousers, long shirts, insect repellent will be fine. You might say, actually, I don't want to take any risk. I'm going to take malaria tablets from when I enter to when I leave, which is absolutely fine. Okay, we don't need to cover that. We covered some of this already. Limited amenities, disconnection from the norm, separation anxiety. That you might think, well, that won't happen to me, but it can happen, particularly those of us who have, leaving loved ones behind, leaving our kids behind. There's little communication in those places, although you can get if you're going to get an in-country SIM, I would get a Namibia SIM. You can get an eSIM, they're pretty good these days, or you can get a physical SIM if you've got to put into your phone. There's obviously not going to be Wi-Fi in everywhere that we go, but there will be Wi-Fi in some of the camps that we get to. So there will be Wi-Fi. You can get Wi-Fi at day 1, night 1 and night 12. You can get Wi-Fi probably at Sesriem on night 2 and 3, 4, 5, you won't. 6 and 7 at Etosha, you will. Sumkwe, as we cross the border, you will. Where's the map? Maun, you will. Here you won't. So you'll have Wi-Fi on quite a few evenings if the power's on, and we can't always guarantee that in the middle of nowhere. But if you have I'll have an in-country SIM for safety backup anyway, and I prefer a physical SIM, although the eSIMs are very good now, have been let down once, and once is enough. So I'll get a physical SIM. If you want to get one, get a Namibia one, only because we're there for the bulk of the time.
There's like a family emergency. Can we give your number that's always got
Absolutely
coverage?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So entry requirements for Botswana and Namibia, the links are there. I've got them here if we needed to talk through them, entry requirements. So passports, expiry date, at least 6 months after the date you arrive and 3 blank pages and no torn pages. I travelled to Africa very nervously 2 months ago when I realised I had a rip in one of my pages. And luckily it wasn't spotted, but you don't want to be thinking like that. Currency, that's worth talking about. The Namibian dollar if you happen to have any South African rand, that will be accepted in Namibia, and it's pretty much 1-to-1 Namibian dollar to the South African rand. If you haven't got any South African rand, then you need to get Namibian dollars. You would spend that on alcohol if you wanted any booze, and fuel is pay as we go. And it's about, in Namibia, it's about 90 pence to the litre. It's about the same in Botswana. And I think the Land Cruiser tank is about 9. What is it, Chris? About 90 litres or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I'm rabbiting on. Sorry, guys. I'm going to finish now, I think. Botswana Pula is what we need, but we can come on to that when we need to for another time, because we'll have another meeting. Okay, so I think that's all. I've just realised the time. I have been banging on. I do apologise, but there's a lot to cover. I'll stop sharing and then sorry about that, guys. I'll banged on a bit. I didn't realise the time. That is a bit of a
don't be sorry.
I'd rather be thorough.
Obviously, people feel free to put in the chat, or I'm sure we can just talk openly now here. Any questions? I've got a few in my head that I'm just going to chuck out there. So, well, you briefly talked about the experiences and immersing yourself in the culture, the nature, air balloons, camping, anxiety, sort of, out in the wild, and all the things that go with it. That's really cool. One of the things that I'd like to share is deposits. So even though it's 2025, there's a lot of planning that has to go into this. More so from, this is Angus's world, and he's assured me that we need to get in early, get deposits in, get places in, so we can get vehicles and etc. So Angus is so Angus will invoice, right? Is that okay? Is that how we want to play it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. What we've got to do is assign people to vehicles. Some people have already, it's like, right, this is our vehicle, like Sarah and Katie and Lally, I think is a vehicle, and the Allens is a vehicle. We've got to assign people to vehicles because we can't end up with a spare individual. If there's one person spare, it's just going to cost a fortune for that. They're going to have to pay for everything themselves, and it's just not doable. I think that's already in the information. So
yeah, so we're building up. So obviously we have time on our side, which is great. So we've got a good group of us now. Hopefully we're all up for coming on it, and we myself and Angus will sort of help build those vehicles. Or if you've got a preference who you'd like to be with, obviously let us know.
The deposit it's a £500 non-refundable deposit, I'm afraid. That's going to go straight into booking the vehicles and the accommodation. We can't so it's quite a commitment, because things can happen between now and then. That's, you've got to be sure. You've got to be sure that it's something you want to do. And the only other way, if something does happen, then try and find someone else to take your place, I guess.
And when do you need that deposit?
I don't know. Maybe within what day? Where are we now? I would say before I leave for Africa so by mid-June.
What you were going to say by Friday?
I think, and then that's fine. I've already got the vehicles on standby, so the quicker the better. But I think by mid-June. Are you happy with that, Justin, or do you rather?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, another question on that is, can you know, can some people pay, you know, payment plan, that sort of stuff over the year, and this, you know, is that something you can help with, or do you just want the lump sum done?
No, I've got a plan for 4 payments,
Okay, fantastic.
and that's what everyone will do. I'm not a big enough operation to have someone with their eyes on that kind of administration with a lot of people. So that's just simple admin for me, and we'll just stick to that. I think your side of it, you know, fundraising is up to you. But yeah, the in-country costs, I'll just do it like that.
And with the hot air balloon, would we give you the money for that as well, or would we pay for that ourselves while we're out there?
Yeah, no, that has to be paid for before. I can pay for it all before. You don't have to pay me till just before we go, you know. So don't worry too much about that. If you're 100% up for it, I'll just pay for it and get it booked, and then as long as I'm paid before we leave, that's fine.
Okay, and so obviously, guys, Angus's email's in the chat, so just please email him, just yay or nay, you know, or myself. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some other flights as well, Angus. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we've roughly said it could be, you know, between sort of, you know, 800 to £1,000 sort of money. Is that generally fair enough?
Yeah. Well, I started with a 7 when I flew to Namibia last time.
Okay.
That was good. But you know, you might want to fly as a group. You might want to fly individually and find a cheaper flight.
Yeah.
It as long as you're, you know, the bus is going to depart from Windhoek Airport around midday. So just try and get in before midday. Some people might want to get in the night before. If that's easier, I'll be there the night before. I'll be there 3 nights before. So you can just fly in if you want to, you know, at your leisure the day before, and just I'll come pick you up from the airport, and you can come and help us shop.
And
It's been
we've got a contact. Well, Angus hasn't. We've used him the last times on our trips before. Is Eric at Dial a Flight. That before he was really good at getting us all on the same plane. And yeah, I mean that helps. Like Angus said, maybe we all jump on the same plane and we get the flight number and just sort of share that amongst ourselves. Just obviously, the more people book on, we can sort that out nearer the time, I guess.
Yeah, we'll ping everybody just a list of info on an email with that included.
But,
Just a quick question. What's the minimum amount of vehicles that can make this trip viable?
4.
4. Okay.
And we're there. I think we got. I think we'll have 5 or 6. I say 4. We'd work with 3. So it'd be fine. It's just we want to want it to be a good fundraiser for Wolo. I think it will be anyway.
We wanted to offer, you know, one of the things that some of the feedback that we've had through Wolo is, you know, and also in the sector, this sort of charity world, is everything's physical. Everything's like a physical challenge, you know, and testing yourself. But you know, myself and Angus and, you know, the team, we felt really passionate about trying to do something different, trying to give people the opportunity, especially within Wolo. You know, we got some people here that are, you know, post-cancer or even going through stuff, or, you know, to give other people in our world a chance to come and do something. And, you know, this, it might not be the most physical challenge in the world, but my God, I mean, I fall asleep after like 1 hour driving. It's going to be really hard, you know. But no, just to be, you know, just to give ourselves something different, and hopefully this, I mean, you know, this to me looks fantastic, and I think we're all going to get something out of this. And yeah, and if you know, if you have got friends and family or even businesses, you know, there is the opportunity if some of the business want to get involved and maybe, you know, sponsor a vehicle, could have their logo on it possibly, or I know Chris, who's on the call here, Chris Allen, he owns like a Land Rover. I don't want to say, what do I want to say, Chris? What is it like? It's more than a garage, isn't it?
Land Rover garage, yeah.
There you go. Good little plug there. Good ad there. You know, and he's to get involved for a bit of sponsorship and you know, it's that sort of thing as well. So, you know, if you've got anyone who you think could be interested, or business that might even support yourself or help the cause, then please just reach out and tell them about it, you know, because it is special. And for many who don't know, we support families affected with cancer in Sussex, but we support the whole family. Anyone diagnosed, we support, the siblings, the children, the parents. That's our ethos and that's our values, what we've done. But to give, to come away and, we're called Wolo, we only live once, but, literally to have the opportunity to do something like this and try and have the impacts, but also raise a bit of money, is great.
And the fundraising is how much is it that
We've said £625 per person,
Okay.
which it's an amount. It's still a lot of money, but I think it's doable. We didn't want to go out and say you need to raise all this money and this, because it's not what we're about. It's not our values. We want to try and have impacts on the people that support us and create longevity, and hopefully doing something like this where the target's not so high, that's doable, but also make it not expensive. I mean, it's an expensive trip, don't get me wrong, but the opportunity to do something like this, it is horrendously expensive if you try to do this sort of on your own and stuff. So as we can all do it collectively.
And Justin, does the cost of the trip that we pay as well or fundraise for, does some of that go towards the charity as well, or is that really is?
So the place you fundraise goes 100% towards Wolo, and the other fees go to all the in-country costs with Angus. Is that correct, Angus?
Just the in-country costs.
Yeah. So Angus
No, that's good. Okay.
That's all round good in that respect. So are there any other questions that sprung to my mind?
Yeah, I was missing for a bit, so you may have covered this, but what happens if there's a medical emergency?
There's three things. First aid in camp. So we can deal with quite a lot first aid in camp. Quite a few of us are first aiders. The fastest overland route to a medical centre or hospital is the second, and the helicopter evacuation is the third, and that's available in both countries.
So we need to make sure our insurance covered that, presumably.
Yeah, in Botswana, we pay an amount for that to be covered, and it doesn't affect your insurance. In Namibia, it does need to. You'll need medical evacuation, which you'll get through if you go through. There's a really good company in Bexhill. I don't know if everybody here is local. Called what's it called? We were talking about it earlier, Justin.
No,
I'll put it on the. Names escape me. I'll put it on the information that we send out.
And it doesn't make it horrendous.
It's called Dream Time Travel.
Okay.
Dream Time Travel. They're amazing, and I have used them. I've had cause to action their insurance, and it's very swift. They're good operation.
Well, I'm signing up.
Who said
So
that?
that's Sam. Right, I'm coming. That's three. Who else?
Coming.
Who
Oh,
else?
Sam's not in my vehicle. I'll come.
You asked me to be in your vehicle, liar.
Yeah, but like we're around for any questions or any thoughts and feelings, and obviously don't have to commit now. Obviously, it's have a think about it. It's it's a big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have got time. All of us have got a little bit of time here to sort of think about it. But hopefully you've got what you wanted to hear this evening, and you're excited by it, and you think that this is something you'd like to see and do. I think it's pretty magical. I think we're going to have a great time out there, and obviously it's for a good cause that's really close to my heart. But yeah, in the meantime, if Angus has got his email on there, email Angus for any questions. And yeah, what do you think, Angus? Any can you think of anything in the top of your head now? How can we get the ball rolling? Literally, what now?
I think that I've said enough.
Okay.
Just email me. I'm in country till end of June.
Yeah.
Can I run round it so I don't have to pay for a vehicle?
Typical.
We
I
get you
did
right at me, Marcus.
I did wonder. I was trying to calculate 3,000 kilometers, how long it would actually take me. But,
Where are you going to sleep?
I won't.
Where-
I'll just keep running.
How long will it take you?
I haven't read it out yet. My maths is shit.
Yeah. Oh. Well, thanks everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hopefully have a lovely evening what we've got left.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening.
Thank
Oh.
you so much.
Thank you, Angus.
Chloe Lord has just
Thank
said she's
you.
going to join.
More than
Oh.
likely, more than likely. I just have to consult.
Amazing.
Take care. Lovely to see you, Maureen.
You too.
Bye.
Cheers, you guys. Sorry I overspoke a bit. Sorry
No,
about that.
very
Bye.
fascinating.
Cheers, you
Fascinating.
guys.